All right, everybody. Welcome in to another episode of the Young Guns podcast. This is going to be a special one, man. This is the preview before the NFL Scouting Combine. Extremely excited about this. Unfortunately, I don't have cable anymore, and I don't have a DVR anymore, so I won't be able to watch the damn thing. I'll be working it, and I have a flag football game as
I'm
well.
sure
So
there's
I
gonna be some type of Reddit stream.
yeah, it's gonna be sometimes. Yeah, but I need a pre-recorded one, so maybe I can be able to watch it after
Mm.
and kind of look at
Set
all
up
the.
OBS to record it.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's actually a good idea. So I do something like that. But how you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's been kind of a dry couple of weeks for Giants
Hmm.
and NFL content and just news
Right.
in general. I welcome the combine not just because of the draft stuff. I said this in my video on Monday. The combine is where a lot of these trades and deals go down. And literally the first day of the combine, we got a couple of quotes. Now they were blown out of proportion, a little bit exaggerated, but we still got a couple of quotes that supported my idea of trades happen there. With Buffalo's GM Brandon Beane joking about stealing players back from us. What up, Justin? How you
Yeah.
doing?
What up,
Thank you for tuning
Justin?
in. You know what I'm saying? Joe Shane saying everything's on the table. I know they were blown out of proportion, but hey, like I said, it goes to my point of saying the combine isn't just the draft. Teams are talking about anything and everything over there with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and on top of that, regarding the combine news, we have some news of our own, the New York Giants news that happened today regarding Kyle Rudolph and Devontae Booker. My quick thoughts on it. Really, I made a video earlier about it, but they were. I had this mindset going into this offseason with this new rebuild and this new regime. I'm just okay with getting rid of everybody that isn't either essential to the New York Giants and like the future of the New York Giants, or that doesn't strap us for cap. Like the Logan Ryan situation, with how much dead cap he commands, there's no point of cutting him. So you would have to restructure him, and part of restructuring him probably means you would have to maybe uh, extend him, right? And which would I don't want to happen. But the Logan Ryan situation, he kind of has to be on the team. But Kyle Rudolph and Devontae Booker, although I liked what Booker did, it frees up some decent cap space. It puts us, we're still in the red, but it helps us that much more. And I also have some ideas of how to, get some
Who's
more
who's in
cap space
who's
too.
backstage right now?
R0B.
So Rob, okay, Rob says
Okay.
he's gonna be back. Is Pest not in here yet? Will isn't here yet.
No, Pest isn't in
Okay
here
then.
yet. But well, I'm in a second. But let me say what's up to everybody in the chat. And Namar, LGZ, what I believe is Logan, Cresley, Tony, Justin Pennick in the building, Yo Nappy, Nate talks football. What's going on, Nate? Let's see,
Chris,
Alex, Edward, Chris, what's going on, everybody?
did you
So
get
yeah,
Logan? Yeah, you did.
yeah, I
Okay
got
then.
Logan. I got OGZ. All right. So tell me your thoughts, man, about the news today. I mean, it seemed like a lot of people were surprised. It surprised me that people were surprised about these releasing these cuts. I mean, I'm not surprised about it at all. But I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not surprised by it that much. Wait, people were surprised by it. Where did you see that
Yeah,
actually?
I've seen that. I've seen that on Twitter, and there were some people that it was kind of mixed, but definitely the majority isn't surprised. But I've seen some people like put out tweets saying, "Oh, I'm seeing people are surprised by it. How can you guys be surprised?" and stuff like that. I'm seeing on Instagram mostly as well that people are kind of shocked.
Instagram, NFL, I don't know,
It's I
man.
know it's a
NFL,
little.
NFL Twitter is already like somewhat of a cesspool a little bit. Instagram, NFL ain't that much better.
Yeah.
And then don't get me started on NFL TikTok. It's something else over there
Oh,
too.
NFL TikTok is outlandish, dude. It's
It's
outlandish.
peak memery. NFL
Dude, it
TikTok is peak
really
memery.
is. Half of the takes I see on there are just mind blowing. Like not in a
They
good way.
sometimes I say to myself, they're not serious. This is a troll account. They're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
serious.
I'll tell you right now, Cooper Cup is like the most hated person on NFL TikTok right now. Cooper Cup, the whole season. Everybody hates him. But
But yeah, like I was not surprised by it at all. Like I've done probably like 3 videos on making cap space or cutting players for the Giants so far in the past 2 weeks alone. Kyle Rudolph and Devontae Booker were almost always on there. I think there was probably one where I didn't cut Booker. I kept him somehow. But these two guys, they were gonna be cap casualties. A guy I'm surprised I didn't cut was Riley Dixon, Edward. I'm probably made a mistake saying Dixon was good, but he's not terrible either. He's just really inconsistent. But that's a guy I really expected to be cut. What up, Rob? We got Rob in here, guys.
What's up, man?
R0B Gaming. He's also the co-host of the PTA Sports Show. We just came over from there, actually.
Where the hell is Pest at, man?
I don't know. He's gonna be in here in a second.
He's taking his sweet ass time.
Exactly. And we're just kind of rehashing something that Rob talked about almost an hour ago with the whole Rudolph and Booker thing. But yeah, no, so I wasn't surprised by it. I'm surprised that you're saying other people were surprised by it.
Yeah,
Take a shot for every time I said
weird.
surprised.
I seen it mostly on Instagram, I'll be honest with you, but people were like, "Oh, I didn't want to see Devontae Booker go. He did so well this season." I mean, but it's a rebuild.
Okay,
man.
that I could get that.
Yeah, I can get that, but at the same time, you got to understand, there's no emotional commitments. It's not Dave Gettleman here. Joe Shane, it's a clean slate, man. He doesn't. There's no ties to any of these players. You can get rid of them as you please, and if it clears up cap space. Look, when we signed Devontae Booker, everybody was going crazy about how much he was being paid, right? And so now you get rid of him, you're clearing up some cap space. I know it's not too much, but it's a start. Same thing with Kyle Rudolph as well. 32 years old.
I mean, would you argue?
Surgery.
And let me pose this question to both you and Rob. Would you argue?
God. All right, he's gone. I'll just play.
Oh, get him out of here.
Get him
What's up, man?
Yo, what was that, bro?
That was my introduction.
What was that?
Listen, I haven't been here for a while, so I have to make up for lost time and just be goofy as hell for the first 35 seconds. What's up, guys?
What's up, Pest? Long time.
Definitely not you, bro. You're down, bro. My God.
Down bad.
Horrendous.
Horrendous.
Never
down cataclysmic, man.
Whoa.
Down apocalyptic.
What are you crazy SOBs talking about?
So I was literally just about to ask both of them the question. I guess I posed it to you as well. In reference to Devontae Booker, I see people suggesting we already have his replacement on the roster in Antonio Williams, the first guy that we signed like way back when Joe Showing was hired like a month ago or something like that. Mm-hmm. I don't know too much about Antonio Williams. I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't really speak on him. I do know that he doesn't have much playing experience, but I mean, how do y'all feel about that? Like, I still think that we're going to draft somebody. I feel like the draft is the way to go with running backs in general. Even if Saquon is here or not, I still think we should take somebody in the mid rounds. So I guess, yeah, you just go off on that, I guess.
I mean, are we just going to forget about our guy, what's his name?
Gary Brightwell? You can't remember his name. That tells me enough of your opinion on him. No, that tells me enough of your opinion on him, bro. You can't remember his name.
Yeah, you don't even remember his name. First of all, your haircut your haircut is slamming, right?
I appreciate that, my friend.
I see how lined up it is. I gotta call the barber here soon.
Pest. When I get my braids, and you better be saying that about me, man.
Pest face completely changed. He's like, wait, hold on.
You get your hair braided?
Yeah.
Like cornrows?
Yeah.
Or you doing the dreads?
No, like cornrows.
Go dreads, man.
You getting
my hair is long enough.
You should just have them like hanging down dreads. Like everywhere.
Wait a minute. Take your head off. Let me see if you.
Well, it's all flattened down right now, so it's gonna look terrible. It's not gonna look as long as it actually is.
So you're getting cornrows.
But my hair is like this long now, bro.
Old
it's like
exhibit
this long
style.
Now.
Hey yo, who told you that was gonna be a good look?
Come on.
I'm just curious. Like, who told you that was a good look?
Get him out of here.
All right, bro.
Just remove him from the fucking yard.
What look is gonna be better for hair that's like this long and super curly, and it just keeps it out of my head? Like, yeah, it's like the length of my face now. It's gonna keep it out of my head, man.
I mean, all right, man, cool, bro.
I mean, I watched.
I'm taking suggestions. You ain't got no suggestion, man.
Jesus.
People have told me to stay with the People have told me to stay with the perm look, but I don't like the perm look that much when I've been rocking a couple times.
I'll be honest, man. I like the perm. I wish I had a perm.
Nah, the perm is a lot of work.
I wish I had curly hair, man. My hair is too damn dead and straight.
I have no idea what I'm going to do with my hair, y'all. Like, I don't know what to do with it.
You should get freaking corn rolls. How about that?
Let me see your hair. Let me see your hair, Pest.
Pest doesn't have hair.
Let's see your hair.
Have you noticed you've never seen Pest without a hat? Because he doesn't have hair.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh man, he's got the LeBron
this dude can fucking braid his beard, bro.
So wait a minute. What you want me to reveal the entire PTA Sports head?
Yeah.
It looks like it looks terrible right now. Hold on a second.
Holy shit!
You guys ear piercing.
Hey, that doesn't look too bad, bro.
That covers up the entire camera.
Yo, bro, get a silky, man. Get a silky, bro. Just Oh, now he has his
No,
headphones
real
back
talk.
on. Get a silky, bro. Get a silky.
Real talk.
Yeah.
I think you should set a sub goal. If you hit a certain sub goal on your
bald.
YouTube, you should go bald 100%.
I've been
Bro,
bald
that would go
before.
hard.
No,
Bald
no.
with that fucking beard
Yeah, with
you
the
got
beard.
going on.
Yeah.
Bro, that you look
Where
tough.
did
I
this
wouldn't-
conversation
Bro,
go?
if I saw you in the parking lot of the Giants, I wouldn't want to fucking talk Giants with you. I'd be
You guys,
intimidated.
you guys,
I'm
you guys
intimidated.
You guys didn't
Listen,
know
you
that
tell me who we're drafting. I won't
I
argue
just
with
said
you.
it. I said you got your ears pierced. I said
Yeah, I
I
heard you say that. Yeah, I went and got my ears pierced like the same day Spider-Man came out. Is when I went and got my ears pierced.
Celebration
That night. Yeah, I went and I got my ears pierced. Well, I used to have these piercings before I joined up. So I was like, now I'm out.
Listen,
now.
I still think the best look to go is to just get a silky, let it sit there for a month or two, and then take it off, man.
You should have got Spider-Man buds put
Silky.
in honor of getting it done.
Bro, you don't know what a silky is?
Did you say Spider-Man buds? What are
Yeah,
y'all
you should have got
talking
like
about?
you should have gotten
I'm
Spider-Man.
still trying to figure out what a
things.
silky is because that does not
Bro,
sound
a
right.
silky is a do-rag, bro.
Oh.
Bro, we went from Antonio
Do-rag.
fucking
So
Williams
just call it
to
a
talking
do-rag.
about
Why are we
do-rags
with this
and
random
pierced
freaking-
ears and
So
shit.
you're,
It's
so
like-
you're saying
do-rag.
you're saying I should get waves, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I actually have waves. You can kind of see that I have waves. You
Nah,
guys-
bro, that's a desert, bro. There's no waves there.
Honestly, bro. Honestly,
the ocean
it
is
literally.
calming.
Listen, your hair looks like the fucking beach before tsunami. It's all getting pulled out. That's what your
Where
hair
did this
looks
go,
like.
man? We're talking hair cuttery now.
Bro, that shit looks like the tide is pulling out and the tsunami's fucking coming. All right, listen here. Antonio Williams. I watched some highlights on the guy. The guy runs pretty hard.
Yeah.
Plays well, I thought, for the 12 attempts, 63 yards, 5.3 yards per carry that he had, in 2020. Didn't really play it all last year, but I think he kind of got really phased out with Devin Singletary. And I can't remember the other running back that they have.
Zach Moss.
Zach Moss. I really think that he just kind of got phased out, from that running back. You can't really, unless one of them got injured, then I think we probably wouldn't have got him, because once the guy got on the field, I think if he was able to run hard and get some time, I think he would have still stayed on the roster. But with Moss and with Devin Singletary, that's why I don't understand what fucking people are saying Barkley's going to go to the Buffalo Bills. That doesn't make no sense to me. They already have two running backs there. So I think it was a solid pickup. Do I think he's a certified backup? No, I think he could be a third round guy, or not a third round guy, but like a
the number 3 running back.
Number 3 running back with potential. I mean, you could maybe utilize him like you use Elijah Penny, if you really wanted to put him at fullback. Do different things with him, because you don't know, but he doesn't seem bad to me. But I wouldn't necessarily go to the length of saying that. Yeah, that's
he's a
our
replacement. Yeah,
he's the replacement. No, I wouldn't. I
Yeah.
wouldn't go that.
And then what do you say too? To you looking for a running back? So my take is we should absolutely take a running back in this draft in the mid rounds or late rounds, no matter what we do at the position in free agency with Saquon.
I disagree. I think that if you keep Saquon, I think you maybe look for a veteran guy, not necessarily a young guy. I think even if you're going to draft a guy, you need to go veteran. So I think they need to sign a guy off of free agency, a guy who's been around, who knows it. Whether it's because you want to have a guy to rely on if Saquon stays and he goes down. You want to have a guy that's not young, that doesn't really know, that's been around, not crazy, been around, where he's like 30, 40 years old or whatever, like Tom Brady out there running the ball. But even if you go with a young guy, you want him to be able to, kind of teach him the way. You look at some of the running backs that are available in free agency. You got Melvin Gordon, Leonard Fournette, Chase Edmonds. That would be a guy that I would really like.
Chase Edmonds, I would like.
Cordell Patterson. James Conner is another one that I would like to bring in, to be honest.
Marlon Mack.
Raheem Mostert, but he's injury prone. J.D. McKissick, Sony Michel, Alex Collins, David Johnson, Darrell Williams, Ronald Jones. That would be another one. Ronald Jones is a really, really good player. Rashad Penny, Jerick McKinnon, Latavius Murray, Devontae Freeman, Boston Scott. I hate that fucking guy. Devontae Foreman.
We should have kept Clement, man. Speaking of Eagles, we should have kept that, man.
I was screaming that when we let him go.
I agree.
Nobody believed me.
I was
screaming that.
Looking at this list here, guys that I could see the Giants going after, I could see them going after if they get rid of, if they were to get rid of Saquon. I could see them going after a James Conner. I think he would be a really nice addition to the roster. I could see them going after him. I could see a guy like Sony Michel potentially maybe being brought in potentially.
Man, I wish David Johnson.
I would even say
Jarek
Jarek McKinnon. I would even say Jarek McKinnon because he was just with Kafka in Kansas City. Even though Kafka didn't really work with him, he's got familiarity with the scheme, with the system. Played this year, really wasn't playing bad. So I could see them bringing in Jarek McKinnon as well. But a lot of these other guys, like Leonard Fournette, I don't think he's going to be a free agent. I think he'll be back with Tampa, but he's going to demand high money. Melvin Gordon's kind of old. Chase Edmonds, I think, is a really, really good player, but I think he's going to be top dollar. Somebody's going to give him. Raheem Mostert is injury prone. That would be why we're getting rid of Saquon Barkley in the first place. McKissick would be McKissick's interesting. He's a very versatile player, runs hard.
Scat back.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I don't think that he could be a featured guy. He's not a number one. He's a scat back guy. Yeah, he's a scat back.
I like Sony Michel. Marlon Mack is interesting to me because he's a guy that it has potential to be 1,000-yard runner, but with Jonathan Taylor there, he was just and he got hurt as well. But Marlon Mack's interesting to me too.
He was the guy there 2 years ago.
Yeah, he was, and he was 1,000-yard runner. And Rashad Penny at the end of the season really looked good. He's a projected free agent as well.
Even Ronald Jones from Tampa.
Yeah, Ronald Jones.
He really got overshadowed last year when they went to the Super Bowl because he got hurt and Leonard Fournette came in. But prior to that, I mean, Ronald Jones was a decent runner. There's
a lot of decent running backs in this free agent class. I mean, you can really get one anywhere. Wow.
Absolutely. I mean, it's available.
So I'm glad that it's a pretty decent free agent class, and I'm glad that there's at least a couple of options in the draft because to answer the question that I asked y'all on my channel, sorry BBS, she wasn't there, which was what was the very first thing that you do as general manager in regards to this roster? Like, what's the first player that you do something with? And for me, the first player is Saquon Barkley because Saquon and I are gonna have to sit down and have a conversation. And the conversation is going to go something like this. Listen, bro, I don't care what kind of year you have. We're not paying you top dollar. Like, we're not doing it. It doesn't matter if you have an explosive year next year. So we either need to figure out how we can have something that's team friendly, that's not going to kill our cap, or I'm trading you. Like, straight up and down. Like, that's the conversation I'm having with Saquon. Either you go somewhere else, or we work on a deal that's friendly enough for you to stay here and not be a big portion of our salary cap. And if Saquon's like, I need the bag, then I'm trading Saquon Barkley immediately.
But he doesn't seem like that type of a player that's requesting a bag. I think he's.
But you don't know.
We don't know. We don't know. But Saquon seems like a humble dude.
Yeah, but what's his agent saying? Because his agent is really the one that's making this decision.
I would say I think Saquon probably wouldn't have a problem with staying here. But I would think that he may want just a fresh start. Like if I was Saquon, I don't have any ill will towards the Giants, and maybe he does want to stay here, but I think he should just get a fresh start. The injuries, the inconsistencies, the fans are kind of 50-50 on him. He may just want a new clean start.
I don't believe this whole he's pissed off and he's demanding a trade. Like, I don't believe any of that bullshit. I think that's all just that's just news and shit like that. But I do think I agree. Like, I think that they sat down and had a conversation with him and probably said, "Look, we want you here. We would like you here. We want to try to build around you and Daniel." And I even said to Pest, I think it's more likely for them to build around Saquon than building around Daniel Jones at this particular point in time because we've seen what Saquon can be because he's physically done it. We really haven't seen what Daniel Jones is able to do other than his first year as a rookie when he threw for over 3,000 yards and had 24 touchdown passes. We haven't really seen anything since then. So I think, and it's a lot easier, in my opinion, to go ahead and build around a running game because that right there is what's going to help your passing game. And they haven't been able to run the football the last 3 years. So, I think they probably have had the conversation. Do I think that he's getting traded? To me, it doesn't make sense because you're not getting out of not paying him at all this year. So unless somebody's willing to take the contract and not have you pay anything, or even if you're paying a fraction.
We're talking about $7 million though, but we're talking about $7 million.
But that's the thing is, why would you're talking about $7 million and then you're going to go and you're going to sign a guy like that? Doesn't make any sense when you already have the running back already on the roster that you're already paying for. So, in my opinion, unless you're getting out of that scot-free, no money, no nothing, and you work it out, I'm okay with it. But if they're paying a fraction of any bit of that contract, let that shit ride out and keep him on the roster. I wouldn't even fucking trade him.
So this is my thing with Saquon, right? And I'm still wearing my Saquon Barkley shirt, as you can see right here. I am a huge Saquon fan. He's the reason I started my YouTube channel back in early 2019 in the first place, was because I was like, this dude Saquon got me back like seriously into Giants football. I want to talk about them. Let me start my channel. My thing with Saquon is it's similar to what Pes said, along the lines of they just need to make a decision now. If they're going to trade him,
time is running out. He's got 1 year left.
Yeah, like trade him now while his value is still somewhat decent, and before you take a risk of it possibly going down during the season. Make the decision to not trade him now. All right, fine. Keep him. Let him play the year. Let's see what happens. Maybe franchise tag him the year after if he goes out there and balls out. We'll see. But they need to make that decision very, very soon. Like I said, they need to make that decision now.
I'm trying to make a deal with Saquon Barkley right now. Okay,
I'm not cutting him. No, okay, that's where I disagree. I'm not giving him no type of deal, even if it's for like a year or $1 million. I'm not giving him that.
No. Listen, I'm trying to give Saquon like a 2-year deal where I could spread some money out and take away some of the cap hit. Right, that's what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking like a 5-6.
I don't know if you could do that with a rookie contract though.
Why can't I?
Well, out of it. He would be out of the rookie contract.
I can sign him to an extension.
No, Pes, what you just said was to spread it over 2 years. That means this year and next year.
No, I'd add 2 years to his contract and figure out a way.
Well, all right. So this is where I still disagree. I'm not giving him any type of contract because I don't know what he's going to be this year. That's why I'm just like, the way I look at Saquon is the same way I look at Daniel Jones. I'm just like, go out there, play, and let's see what happens. If you ball out, I'm with you, Pes. I'm not giving you no type of top dollar running back contract, even if you go out there and have some type of historic season, because let's keep it real. The injuries scare me a little bit. Your injuries scare me a little bit. I'm not giving you that money.
You got a track record, right?
You got a track record. But I'm letting you play that season. All I'm saying, though, is that they need to make a decision right now. If we get rid of him via trade or something, they're really good free agents. The one name that caught my mind a lot there, Rob, that you listed was Marlon Mack. I think Marlon Mack is the guy you target, in my opinion, if you truly get rid of Saquon. Maybe on like a 2-3 year deal or something.
He'll be cheaper.
We somehow have the cap
injury.
space for that.
Yeah, he'll be cheaper. He doesn't have production coming off injury.
If you don't get Marlon Mack, I am a believer in a lot of these running backs in the 4th and 5th round. I think they could develop into something. Not develop into Saquon, but develop into a guy like an Elijah Mitchell that the San Fran 49ers drafted this past year, who I wanted the Giants to draft to be Saquon's replacement, but they didn't do that.
The thing is that I truly believe that if we are talking about trading Saquon, we can convince somebody to take the money. We can convince somebody to do it. You're talking about $7 million. Like, yes, it's a relatively high number, but there's teams out there that would be like, hell yeah, I'll give you a third for Saquon. And
the only team that would probably do something like that would be Baltimore. I don't see Buffalo. They already have 2 running backs. It would be Baltimore. This is where I think the Giants. This is where I think personally. This is my personal opinion. This is where I think the Giants are fucking up. I think they're fucking up with the point of fact of they have this guy on a rookie deal on a 5th-year option that they gave him. I get it. They need to do 2 things. You need to let Saquon play out the 5th year, and you also need to give Daniel Jones his 5th-year option. And this is why. The reason why they do it is because the 5th-year option is only going to count $23 million to their cap next year. Now, let's just say he comes out this year and he plays elevated, plays better, decent enough to the point where they're like, hey, you know what? We need to bring you back. I don't want to franchise tag that guy at $28 million the following year because that's what it's going to cost. I'd rather save the $5 million and have him for the extra year. If I save the $5 million, even if he comes out on his 5th-year option year and he's playing bad, I could still trade him. I could bench him or whatever. What I don't want to happen is they don't give him the 5th-year option. They bring in a guy like Mitch Trubisky because he's familiar with Dabes. Daniel Jones doesn't play very well. Then they go to Mitch, and Mitch plays decent enough to the point where they're like, hey, you know what? Let's ride with Mitch. And in the next draft, they don't go after a quarterback potentially because they like what they see out of Mitchell Trubisky. That's what I don't want to happen. And that's what I feel is going to happen. I'd rather, like what Hub said, is let DJ be the bridge between where you guys are at now and who you're going to go to. Not let him just take the back seat. Then you bring in the replacement. Now your replacement is your future, and you miss out on potentially a quarterback in next year's draft. Because I feel like that's what's going to happen. On top of that,
if they do that, I would be very angry because I feel like it's laid out common sense to just let him be the bridge to whoever is the next guy.
And here's the thing too that we're not thinking about. We don't know what's going to happen with this lawsuit, and if we're going to lose our first-round pick next year. We don't know what's going to happen with it. So we need to be mindful of that. We really, really do need to be mindful of potentially losing a pick.
That's a possibility, but if that's that's not the possibility that you need.
Isn't it a civil lawsuit though? So like
that we need to be preparing. They're not going to. We can't adjust our decision making on the possibility that our first round pick is going to go somewhere else. I mean, you're not wrong that it's a possibility, but it's not the GM's responsibility. Like anything that could, actually, I guess it is. It is the GM. I think the GM does need to think with having that in mind. My only counterpoint to the whole lawsuit thing is that I'm pretty sure it's a civil lawsuit, and I don't think the consequences would lead to that. It would be more of outside the NFL type thing. Yeah, it's not like a judge is going to come out and say like what, this is going to have to like cost a draft pick. That's going to be that's going to be something that's handled out of court. And
I look at it as the Patriots. They lost draft picks when it came to Robert Kraft and his situation. Why would
and the Cowboys and the then Redskins and like everybody else lost draft picks and salary cap, for whatever the hell that was.
It was Robert Kraft as well. That's the owner of the organization, so that does directly affect him.
I don't necessarily think that there's enough proof to show that the Giants did anything wrong in this case to begin with.
I'll just say I agree with Rob. It's something that he needs to keep in the back of his mind, though.
You can think about it, sure, because it is a possibility anything can happen. I don't think that's going to happen, and I'm not concerned with that because I'm trading back to get some future draft capital anyway. So whatever. I'm trading one of these picks back regardless.
So you don't want to use the two first this year.
For as many reasons as as everything else, that trading down means that whoever the Giants pick costs less, and the Giants need every dollar they can get without borrowing from future years, which is what we've been doing every year until.
I was gonna say there's two great reasons to trade down either at 5 or 7 is exactly what Will just said. You get a cheaper contract for your first round pick, but also I feel like if we trade down to like say the teens, you could still get somebody that's a fan favorite like a Tyler Lindenbaum. A center is gonna be there in the teens. No center is going top 10. Some people might look at me sideways for saying that, bro. Creed Humphrey went in the second round. That man was supposed to go top 10 last year, and he's like the best center in the league right now after just 1 year in the NFL, right? So, Tyler Lindenbaum is going to be there in like the teens. And also, if you don't want Tyler Lindenbaum, one of those linebackers, which I'm a big fan of both of them, either Nakobe Dean or Devin Lloyd is going to be there in the teens, and we could really use one of them as well. I just like there's a lot of options still there in the teens, along with once again that cheaper contract. So I'm a guy that really wants to trade down as well if I'm the Giants.
I mean, listen, let's go crazy and trade them both.
I don't know about that one, Chief. Because if Akeem Ekwonu is there at 5, I'm taking him.
How many Yinglings have you drank?
Just the one that I drank over the course.
Bro, if Akeem Ekwonu is there at 5, I ain't trading nothing. I'm taking him.
I'm taking him.
You do that, but
so are you taking Ekwonu or are you taking Thibodeau?
Oh,
I'm taking Ekwonu.
I'm glad you asked this because I literally spoke about this on my podcast last night. So because I've been quoted several times saying no matter who's on the board, if Thibodeau is there, I'm taking him. I'm stopping to think if Ekwonu is there. I'm still probably taking Thibodeau. I'm not gonna lie to you. But man, I love Akeem so much. Yo,
You
low
gotta
key,
think
Akeem.
You got to think of it
Who's
like
picking-
this. You got to
Akeem-
think
sixth?
the sixth pick is going to be probably a tackle, right, from Carolina. Probably not going to be an edge rusher. You got to think of it like that. Unless somebody
Why wouldn't they
trades
take
up-
an edge rusher?
No,
The Carolina? Carolina doesn't
Yeah,
need an
they-
edge
Why
rusher.
would why wouldn't they trade Hassan Reddick right away and as soon as if Thibodeau is
on,
there, bro?
man.
I'm just saying.
Come on,
I'm
man.
just saying it's unlikely.
Look at their offensive
But if you got a guy
line,
like
dude. Look
Kayvon
at their
there sitting
offensive
for you
line.
at 6,
Their offensive
have
line
a
is like
defen-
low key worse than ours. Okay,
They
need
have
somebody.
a decent offensive line. They got Taylor Moton at
Greg
right
Little's
tackle.
garbage. Greg
Who?
Little's garbage. Greg Little. They got Greg Little on there. They switched him to guard, didn't they? That was their
Yeah,
first-
but they got Taylor Moton, who's their right tackle, and they have a left tackle already. I don't think they would go tackle.
I just want to ask one question. Doesn't
Who's their
Carolina have
tackle?
cap space? Real quick. Just somebody answer this. Does Carolina have
Yes.
cap space?
Yes.
Because if Carolina has cap space, there's the potential they sign a tackle as well. There's a guy named Armstead who's a free agent right now from the
And
Saints.
that they're really very, very familiar with and just played in the division.
But I will say this though, I'm stopping to think about it. As of right now, I'd go Thibodeau. If I'm in the situation, I'm trying to find a way to get Bo, and maybe I go Kwanu and hope that
They
Thibodeau
got
drops to
Cameron
7 or
Irving
something.
at left tackle. He's garbage.
I think they make their decisions based upon what they would possibly do in free agency. If they go and they sign a guy like a Teron Armstead or something like that in free agency, then I would take Thibodeau at 5, and then I would turn around and I would take a Kwanu at 7 because you're going to pick in 2 picks anyway. So if you know that they're not the problem that you run into is somebody trading to 6 and taking a Kwanu that maybe needs a tackle, but I wouldn't necessarily see a team doing so. Or you could do it. I mean, why wouldn't? I mean, we. Could
So
trade
now
for
here's the
6.
thing, right? I'm all for trading down. I'm completely against trading up for any player. I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, we could use all the capital we
one-
need. I'm
one
not
pick, though?
sacrificing. You
One
still got to
pick?
give up some. You still got to give up some to go up 1 pick. You still got to give up something.
You got to give up something to get up there, get up one spot. So you're looking at switching the spots, probably having to give up a second and maybe a future second to flip flop. That's
Will,
probably
you
low
look
end.
really
Yeah, that
focused
high, you have to.
over there, Will. What are you thinking? You're looking real.
No, I'm just making the mistake of like actually looking at each person or whatever, and I think because the screen's so big on my phone, it looks particularly, or my computer, it looks particularly silly. I think I don't try to. I haven't really watched that much film on guys. I don't really try to be an expert on prospects. I'd be stunned if Thibodeau falls to 5, but I also in the back of my head, I'm like, if he's falling to 5, he's falling to a 5 because like 4 teams passed on the guy that everyone thought was going to be the number 1 pick in the draft and who, by all accounts, looks like a freak edge rusher, which is what I grew up loving in Michael Strahan and what the Giants have really, the position that the Giants have dominated that really rings special to me as edge rusher, and that that's a dream come true. But I guess I'm saying Thibodeau, but acknowledging bust potential, outside of that, I think in general the Giants need bullets, and trading down and saving money and potentially gathering what the Giants might need next year in case they do want to go after a QB after Jones. That makes sense of what I want to see. And yeah, I think you hold on to Jones for this year. It's it's a dinner that you paid for, and you gather everything you can to find anything you can for next year.
I got a question because I'm looking at Tankathon right now. Tankathon has us picking Kwanu and Kyle Hamilton at 5 and 7. What do y'all think about Kyle Hamilton?
Kyle Hamilton fell to 7?
Hamilton's
I was about
a
to
safety,
say,
right? That's
yeah,
a
he's
safety,
safe.
right?
So
Safety from Notre Dame.
my quick thoughts on Hamilton. I don't know if Ash is watching. I know Nate was watching earlier. So quick thoughts on Hamilton. I don't think he's falling to 7 because he's probably the best player in the draft, like
He's
best overall
insane.
player in the draft.
Absolutely
Dude
insane.
is absolutely insane. And I've come around to saying yes, he's more than a safety. But one of my points that I will never change is that at the NFL he will be playing safety, and I'm not taking a safety in the top 10. That's just me. I
Right.
believe with our priorities, we should be taking O-line, D-line, edge, linebacker in the top 10.
But when you say you want to take the best, everybody talks about BPA. What happens when that's
I mean,
Am I everybody? I ain't everybody.
Kyle Hamilton's in there at
everybody.
Listen, Kyle Hamilton would without a doubt be BPA.
I wouldn't take
but priorities, man.
Priorities.
Don't take the safety.
I'm glad you said that.
And once again, he's more than a safety.
Yeah.
He can play all over the field. Can somebody name me an actual example of that at the NFL level? It's Micah Parsons, and he ain't a safety. He's a linebacker.
Parsons, because he's playing edge and he's playing off ball.
Yeah, because he's a linebacker. Because it's more realistic for that to happen with a linebacker position. That's why people were going crazy over Simmons, because he was a linebacker, not so much with a safety.
See, I'm looking at a mock draft here that has us taking Ekwonu
That was supposed
at 5
to be Jabril Peppers
and Devin Lloyd.
Yeah, I just want to say people forgot the hype that Peppers came out with back in 2016, or was it 17? That draft.
17.
He came out with hype, but it wasn't.
That's what I mean. It's like, everyone thought he was going to be a top pick, and then he fell all the way down. It's like, it seemed like a steal, and it's like, I think Gettleman, got hooked as much as any fan did, with Gettleman. He even said it himself, like a lot of you remember like what he was out of high school, because he was local. He was such a top prospect going into college. It's I think people kind of overrated what Peppers, backfilled meant. Picking him up meant the Browns paid a lot of his salary for us, and given what it was, he was really good. But he was a captain and a long-term guy.
I will say though, that is what Peppers was supposed to be, but Hamilton is on another level. I know it sounds weird because I keep defending Hamilton, but at the same time I'm like, don't pick him up. I'm defending him because I legitimately believe he could be the best player in the draft. But I'm also saying he gonna be at safety at the NFL. Let's not get it twisted. He's not gonna be playing safety, linebacker, edge rusher. It's not happening.
I've got these top 5 picks here from a mock draft somebody did.
I got a question for everybody. Sorry, who do you think are going to be the captains this year?
I can't answer that yet. I don't know what the team's looking like.
We don't even know what the roster is going to look like yet.
Yeah.
Well, there's how many captains? There's only 3, right?
There's 8.
8.
There's 8.
I thought it was 6.
Had 3 to 7 more recently with more.
I was going to say.
I think Andrew Thomas is a captain.
He better get one.
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. I think
if he's there, Saquon.
Yeah, if Saquon's there, yeah. I think McKinney is another captain.
McKinney, Leo Williams.
I like that.
I think Leo,
Blake,
and
if he stays.
And
they didn't give him in 2021. I don't think they're giving to him in 2020. I mean 2022.
I even go out on a limb here. I say Aziz.
Listen, y'all know I'm a big Andrew Thomas and Aziz Ojulari fan, so I'm liking what I'm hearing. I wanted both of them.
Because here's the thing too, is like I'll be honest. I watched some film on Quincy Roche. I think that dude's a fucking tank.
Yeah, watching him on film, man, he was just as
he is. I would argue that from a technique standpoint, he has more technique than Aziz.
I was scared to say that, but yeah.
No, I would agree with you because
I think he's got a better motor. I
would agree with you. You know why? Because one of the guys that I really want for the Giants in this draft, edge rushing rise, is George Karlaftis. And I say that because he's a perfect complement to Aziz. People forget, we have that raw, athletic, kind of high ceiling guy at the edge rushing position already. That was Aziz Ojulari. We took him last year. He was very raw coming out, super athletic, has a little bit of strength to him, definitely fast. That's kind of the frame or the profile of a guy like Kayvon Thibodeau. So even though I would love to have Thibodeau here, part of me says I'd like to have a guy that complements him as well. That's a guy that fits the Aiden Hutchinson frame, but Hutchinson ain't dropping, no doubt. Yeah. Karlaftis is there though around 7.
Mm-hmm. I think what the Giants should do, real talk, in free agency, go after Brandon Williams from Baltimore.
Okay, the D tackle.
And put him at nose tackle. That's a big fucking dude that can take up 2 guys. And then you got Leo and Dex on the outside.
What I'm hearing though is that Baltimore might re-sign that man.
Yep.
I hope not. That would be a guy that I would like to see them go with, because just that one player, that one dude immediately helps.
Hold on, guys. Pest guy.
Hey, yeah. I was planning on staying here until you guys were done, but I got something that just popped up. I got to take care of, so I got to slide out. But I appreciate y'all as always, man. Sorry I haven't been around for you guys, but you know I'm still here. And I need to get you guys to come over to the channel when we make this move next week to BGN. So for everybody in chat, I appreciate y'all. Rob will hold me down. He's smarter than me, so we'll be all right.
And I don't have tsunami
we noticed.
here.
We noticed.
Appreciate you, Will. Kush, kiss my ass.
Yes, yo, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for chatting. I'm gonna be out in a second with you, but want to hear your take on one thing. Back to that captain's thing. What do you think about Dex over Leo?
As a captain?
Yeah, I like Dex. I like
Dex. I think Dex is. I would be okay with Dex being the captain over Leo. I'd be all right with that. I wouldn't be surprised if Dex and Leo were the captains.
And I wouldn't, then again, I wouldn't be surprised if Dex ain't here. So who knows?
I also wouldn't be surprised if Dex ain't here. Anything can happen, y'all, right now. Listen, before I get out of here, don't be married to any of these players. Yep. They're all on the damn chopping block. Okay?
James Bradbury. I love you, James Bradbury.
When your favorite guy is gone, right? When your favorite guy is gone, don't cry about it, okay?
I'm going to cry.
I hope.
But nights are open for business.
Appreciate all y'all. I hope you all have a great rest of your night. Appreciate everybody in the chat, and I'll get up with you guys later. Deuces.
Peace, Pest.
Later.
Always a pleasure.
So real quick to the Brandon Williams thing. I'm glad you brought up Brandon Williams, the nose tackle, though, because a lot of Giants fans don't realize that.
All right, never mind.
What happened?
Never mind.
Because a lot of people, a lot of Giants fans don't realize Dave Gettleman, we clowned him for building up, taking so many nose tackles, but in the past 2 years, he did a great job of tearing down that defensive tackle room as well. Now it's not deep anymore. I've been saying this for a minute now. It used to be a deep position. Now all we got is Dex and Leo. Austin Johnson's a free agent. I would love to re-sign Austin Johnson because I like what he did for us last year, but I still think we need something else. So if we could get Johnson and Brandon Williams, that would be crazy. I got to take a look at the defensive tackle market, though, because we need somebody else there, in my opinion. Because we were talking about this with Robin Pest and Will over on the stream before this, where I was saying I would want to keep Dex where he's at because he's a mismatch at his size, and he still has the athleticism and speed to play that position. If we have to move him inside, so be it. But in fact, let me pull it up right now. Actually, who are some defensive tackle free agents?
Well, these are the interior linemen that I've got here that are available. So you got DJ Jones from San Francisco, Akeem Hicks from Chicago, BJ Hill. I mean, we all know him. Super happy for him. By
come
the
back,
way,
man, come back.
Please come back.
Calais Campbell,
come back. Gelman ain't here.
We've got some guy Folonuso from the Jets. Quentin Jefferson from Vegas. Solomon Thomas from the Vegas. Linval Joseph from the Chargers. Sheldon
Speaking of Linval Joseph, how do you guys feel about possibly another type of reunion with Jonathan Hankins? He was a guy that's been on pretty cheap.
Hankins, bro.
He's been on pretty cheap contracts these past couple of years. He's still effective. Maybe he could come on another cheap contract.
He had 7.5 sacks for the Giants. I remember that year. He had 7.5 sacks for the Giants. I think it was 2013, 2014.
He's still only 29, bro.
Yeah,
he's not that old.
Oh wow, that's crazy. I would bring in Jonathan Hankins, man.
It's weird how Hankins kind of fell off. He was he was a big part of our team.
Mm-hmm.
He left and we got way worse. And then nobody really gave a shit after he got cut after his 1 year big deal.
Yeah.
1 year into his big deal. But I'd love to have him back. I feel like he was a great Giant. If he can play inside and get that D line going, and that D line's a strength. But again, like we said on the other channel, every move that the Giants make, I think, needs to be with 2023 in mind. So, he's a hometown disc. He's not a break the bank.
He'll be a rotational
by
piece
any means, obviously. So it's an Austin Johnson type contract.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy said, Brandon Williams would be my ideal guy, that I would want to bring in, strictly from the point is if we can bring in Brandon Williams, then I'm okay with us not going edge rusher and letting Quincy Roche, Ellerson Smith, Aziz, and if you can re-sign, Zoe, having a good 4-man rotation, having a good strong front three that's going to open up the other side. I'm okay with that. Replacements that you could look at, I like DJ Jones.
Wait, real quick, if we go Brandon Williams, why wouldn't we still take an edge rusher?
I don't think that you need to. Personally, I could think like if you don't take an edge rusher, that opens things up for maybe a Hamilton player, for going defensive back, or maybe you go at corner.
I was gonna say before I go Hamilton, I'd still go linebacker and corner before I go him.
Yeah, you could go Stigley, you could go Garner, somebody that's going to fit Wink
Yeah,
Martindale's.
I would love to see,
Sauce.
yes, Sauce or Stingley. I think that there's a lot of buzz potential, obviously, in both. I think cornerback is a position that's one of the toughest to get. But so that's again why I feel like you trade down, you get more bullets. You whatever happens then, even if you miss, you've given yourself a safety net that that you can work around. What the Giants what the Giants do is, if you're trying to think about building your roster, like putting rocks into a jar, what the Giants did was they put like big rocks in first and then kind of like block themselves from getting
all the other pieces, to fill
trying
it up.
to find little rocks to pull out and put back in, and they've just created more and more of a mess for themselves going on, and they bet big on players over and over again. I just what I want to see is control. I think the Giants need to let the market come to them. Williams makes sense because the Giants obviously the Martindale relationship and there's trust there, and history there. If he's willing to come here for a hometown discount, that's really exciting. But if another team wants him more, the Giants have to the Giants will have to let markets come to them, and every move has to be about 2023. And
do you see Adoree being on the roster next year?
Like this coming season?
No, he's going to be on it this year. I'm talking
next
about
year. I can look up his dead cap hit.
I don't know. I don't see him being on the roster after this year.
Because I definitely think we could all agree he's here this year. I just have to see what happened.
I think I got to double check the contract, but I think when I originally saw that, it seemed like it would have been a 2-year deal.
It was either a 2 or 3 year, because if I remember correctly, Ken Galladay is the only person that's on contract through 24.
Definitely off the roster, dude.
But regardless, we're paying.
His dead cap is $4.5 million. That's it. So for a $16 million.
I mean, listen,
I was
just gonna say it depends all on what happens this year, right? Like he could go out there and have a great year.
No,
we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I think that structure is if nothing else going to be if nothing else, it's going to.
I think what's going to hurt him, even if he comes out and plays good, is going to be the contract. I think he could come out and play really, really well, but I don't think, even if he does, I don't think that they would want to keep that kind of contract going. They may restructure him and try to redo that if potential, but I think that's where you were kind of leaning towards, is that with the contract that he would be due, he could be, even whether he plays good or not, they could be somebody that they move on from regardless. Because Joe Schoen does not like, if you look at Buffalo, like they always had cap room. I mean, they added Diggs, they made big moves. Like if he wanted to do something like that, they never were in a financial situation. The only time they were is when he got there. After that, they were never in that situation.
I missed with a cultural reference earlier, but what about the Patriot? Mel Gibson.
Gilmore? From J.C. Jackson?
No, the movie in 2001, I think it was, with Mel Gibson. You know the movie?
No.
Oh, great movie. But anyway, the line from it is "aim small, miss small," and by trading down and by not being day one splurgers, the downside to missing is much smaller. The way the Jackson deal is set up, the Giants can't really move on from him. It's like, as you're saying, like, the contract basically puts a target on your back. It's what's going to end up losing his leverage at the table. Obviously, the cap savings are most important, but if we like him, obviously the Giants can restructure it with a lot of leverage. obviously the Bradbury contract is just a victim of that. But also, what's interesting that I want to get to is the Slayton contract. So as a 5th round pick, he should be very cheap at this point, but because he's been better than most 5th round picks are, because he's exceeded expectations, he's hit the performance escalators in his contract, and that's raised his salary enough that basically he's going to end up being a cap casualty. If he'd been like behind John Ross and behind Colin Johnson, like all together on the depth chart, he wouldn't have to worry about that, and he'd be on the roster. But yeah, it's weird how the NFL works like that.
So, in regards to Darius Slayton, I've also since I can't remember, I think it was Jerome Renan maybe that tweeted out a couple weeks ago, but somebody tweeted out and I just saw it circulating with like a method. Huh?
No, sorry, I was looking at the comments. Duran was talking about the movie reference I made. Sorry about that.
Oh, Revolutionary War film?
Yeah, it's a movie
Patriot?
that I was talking about. Yeah.
The only I think ancient war film I've seen was one with that dude from Ferris Bueller. He was in it. It was a Civil War one. Oh man, I forget the dude's name from Ferris Bueller. Anyway,
Matthew Broderick,
but yeah, Matthew Broderick. Yeah. It was about like a general that like went in with his basically he went in with his own crew and died with them or something like that. I can't remember. We're getting off topic. But with Darius Slayton, I would like to think that he's definitely a big option the Giants are looking at to cut. But if we get him off the team, then we're like, what are we looking at wide receiver? I began thinking to myself, I'm like, we got Kenny Galladay, Kadarius Toney. Would that be it? Because Shepard got to be gone. I would really want to re-sign John Ross. I think John Ross was underutilized, and I feel like at least the times that we did actually throw him the ball, he came down with it. So, his catching issues, I don't know if they're solved or whatnot, but he was good when we used them. So I'd like to re-sign him. And that would be it, right? Like, so with Slayton gone, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, we're gonna draft somebody. I'd like to think we draft somebody. It would be a tough time.
Yeah, you see the draft, and even a 1st round pick, especially if the Giants can find a team that's looking to take a QB and wants to move up.
Well, you got that guy Williams from Alabama, who's supposedly making a full recovery as a wide receiver, similar to Jamar Chase's skill set. He tore his ACL, I think, last year, and he's on the recovery.
Jameson Williams?
Yeah, Jameson Williams. That's a guy, that, maybe they could look at, with a, in that regard. They had a mock draft that I looked at us taking a wide receiver from Penn State.
Jahan Dotson.
Jahan Dotson.
In the 2nd round. I can get along with that. I could get on with that.
They got us taking Aquanu at 5, Devin Lloyd at 2 or at 7, and then our first pick in the 2nd round would be Dotson, and then they had us taking Majai Sanders, the edge rusher from Cincinnati, and then Jeremy Ruckert from Tennessee, tight end from Ohio State.
That's not bad.
First 5 picks.
My only problem, and this has been a problem that a lot of Giants fans just don't see, but me and Coach have been talking about it for a while. We always talk about the edge rusher, how important the edge rush position is, but we're so complacent with only drafting edge rushers in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. I mean, Aziz, Lorenzo. I mean, the list goes on and on. We're full of like 2nd round, 3rd round.
Yeah, and my thing with the edge rushing pick is you literally look at the pick that had the highest value that we spent on it in recent years was Aziz. He's the guy that worked out the best so far, and it's only been his rookie year with 8 sacks. With edge rushing from college to the NFL, what I've noticed is that there's almost always a direct translation. It's not like offensive line or cornerback where it's way harder for there to be a direct translation. If you're balling out at the college level, you're balling out at a high level, and you're recognized to be one of the best of your position or one of the best edge rushers in the NFL draft, that usually translates. I'm trying to think back. The only guy in recent memory that was a bust at that position that was taken high was Clelin Ferrell, and that's because he wasn't supposed to be taken that high. He was a reach at 4. So it's like edge rushing translates, and that's why I really do want to take an edge rusher with one, like somewhere in the 1st round.
Edge rushers,
especially in a class like last year's class of edge rushers was a weaker one. This is one of the stronger ones. I want to take advantage of it.
Edge rushers do bust in drafts, so I mean they are a little bit more safe because, like you said, they translate a little bit better to the NFL than most positions. But you know, if we get an edge rusher in this draft, it's got to be first round, man. Like it's got to be one of the like. I love the Devin. I love the Devin Lloyd pick, but
there's a couple guys. I'll say this: there's a couple guys that if we go Lloyd, linebacker, cornerback, whatever in the first, and we ignore edge, there is a couple guys in the second that I'd be like, I get him. Maya J. Sanders being one of them. I don't know why. For some reason, I'm in love with the players coming out of Cincinnati this year. I love Sauce Gardner. Yeah. I love Kobe Bryant, the cornerback that was playing across from him. He's going to go somewhere in the mid rounds. I'm a big fan of Jerome Ford, their running back, and I'm a big fan of their edge rusher, Maya J. Sanders, and he's going to be in that second round. They had a lot of good talent this year.
I mean, I think a big reason why we as Giants fans really push for the edges because we miss the LTs, we miss the Strands, the Tucks.
Right, you got to go first round.
But here's the thing: we haven't. You realize that as far as from an edge rusher position, the last person we took in the first round was Lawrence Taylor. That's the last first edge rusher that we took.
Wasn't JPP a first round pick?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, my bad. JPP.
Matthias. Justin Tuck was a day two. But JPP was JPP was
talking about linebacker. I think you're talking about linebacker.
Yeah, linebacker would be Taylor, but we're talking
about a second round pick.
Third round.
Strahan was a second round pick. OC was a second round pick. We had a third round pick that was in there as well. I don't think Matthias Kiwanuka was a first round pick, was he? I think he was a second rounder.
But yeah, no. JPP was the last first round pick. Yeah.
But JPP was a first rounder. He turned out to be a great player, obviously.
But
and
I want to Taylor. Before the comments get away, I want to hit some of what people are talking about. Somebody asked if we think Kenny Golladay will be cut, and I just want to hit that. No, Galladay's not going to be cut this year.
His dead cap. We lose money if we cut him.
Exactly.
It's like 23 or $26 million.
The way the Giants went into last year is they wanted to they pushed as much as possible into this year, and it looks like this year they're actually swallowing it whole and pushing out what I need.
Which
next
is good.
year we could. Next year his cap hit's only like 10 million, so he's a cap casualty next year.
Yo,
but
Chris,
I want to hear where you were going with this though, Rob, because Levin,
you got a little something on your shirt.
Me?
It's Saquon.
Oh yeah, it's Saquon. It's Gary Brightwell and it's Devontae Booker.
Man. It's Gary Brightwell. Yo, respect. Okay.
Yeah, look, Gary Brightwell's right there.
Gary Brightwell.
30. He's 37, right? Yeah, there he is.
The Redlock Power. You think he's the future? Or you think he's, you think his best days are behind us? Do you think he's going to get a carry this year? That's actually a great.
I know. I just wanted to get a carry, man.
But Rob, I want to hear where you were going with this because I don't know if JPP changes where you were going with it, but let's hear.
No, like JPP doesn't necessarily change. My whole thing is that we've never really like drafted high when it comes to like super high in the first round is what I'm talking about when it comes to a lot of our edge guys, JPP and LT being the exception. For the most part, the guys that we had that were big names came in later rounds, second round, third round, stuff like that. As edge rushers or as fans, we want to see those strands. We want to see that dominant four because that's what made the Giants so good. But I think in retrospect, in this type of league, the way that it is right now, and with the athleticism that you have with some of these players, I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing looking to try to get sleeper people or sleeper guys, either that are undrafted free agents or in later rounds that we don't necessarily need to focus so much on the beginning. Obviously, if there's a for sure talent, I mean, we thought Jadeveon Clowney was going to be for sure talent, and he really has turned out to be, in my opinion, an average player. Like, I don't think he's not a top tier guy. When you look at a lot of these edge rushers that have come out, for the exception of maybe J.J. Watt and Aaron Donald, just to name a couple, those are the only really like cornerstone transition type of guys that you could say are arguably close to guys that were dominant in the league, like Reggie White, Michael Strand, etc.
You wouldn't put Vaughn and stuff in there?
Not that I wouldn't put Von Miller in there, but I think that Von Miller was, in my opinion, was a product of an environment where you
was just like in a really good situation.
He was in a really, really good situation. I think you had DeMarcus Ware that was there, which was still
Marcus Ware's amazing.
Was still arguably in his prime, and they had a decent defensive line. So I feel that.
What about Khalil Mack?
Khalil Mack, I think was a very dominant player. But when you look like it just doesn't feel like when he went to Chicago that he kept up that same like I don't know, he
let me
didn't
let me ask a
because
question.
everybody was like Mac, Aaron Donald because I think they
What's
came
up?
out in the same draft.
Yeah, I
me
think
ask
they
a
were in the
question.
same draft. Yeah.
And Donald just surpassed everything, and I think Mac just kind of really.
So
fell
I guess
down.
let me correct what I was saying, because I never meant to imply they would be like the elite of the elite when I was saying edge rushers translate, at least in recent history, a lot better to the NFL at the college level. What I mean to say is that they become a number one type edge rusher guy where it's like they don't necessarily need somebody across from them to succeed. Specifically in recent history, you look at TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, two freaks of nature, and then the Bosa brothers. The Bosa brothers are more like, technicians of their games and whatnot.
Yeah.
But when I talk about the Bosa brothers specifically, Nick Bosa was a second overall pick. Joey Bosa was top
Fourth.
10, right? Yeah, he was top 5, top 10. I can't
It was
remember
like fourth,
where he
something
was.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, both of them, they had that, not necessarily hype,
Maybe third?
but people knew they were gonna be good because of just their production and their technique at the college level, and it translated really
with the
well.
Watt brothers.
Same thing with the Watt brothers.
Yeah.
All that.
With
yeah.
Myles Garrett, you
But
got a
let me
little bit
a-
of a different
but let me ask
situation
you-
because the dude is
but-
built different.
All right.
But
But
yeah.
let me ask you a question. So, say we do that right, and we get another edge rusher in the third round on top of Aziz, on top of Quincy Roche, on top of all these younger pass rushers. Did we really get better as a team getting another third round talent? Did we get an upgrade at that position?
The only thing that I'm saying when it comes to the edge rushing room is unless you're getting a veteran, like I saw a rumor that the Giants could trade for Bradley Chubb and stuff like that, which wouldn't if you're going to go for that type of player, I'm okay with you doing that.
Yeah.
But drafting another guy doesn't make sense when you have Roche from last year, Aziz from last year, Ellerson Smith. You have potentially you can keep Zoe Carter.
That's where I gotta disagree, because then to me that's like saying a guy that could potentially be there at 5 and 7, like George Karlaftis, and then the only other guy would
It's an
probably
upgrade.
take in those
It's an
rounds.
upgrade.
But we also have guys like Carter Coughlin and stuff like that. Like,
But they're all
Carter
they're all
Coughlin is
sleeper
nothing
guys.
compared
Remember,
to
they're-
what George
okay.
Karlaftis could be.
Rob, we have guys, all of the, I think everybody we mentioned, outside of Aziz, I'd say Roche included, and I loved Roche. I was raving about Roche all last year. Everybody that we named there, their roster spot shouldn't be safe. The Giants should be bringing in guys to see if Wing likes them better. Again, low cost guys, especially with a quantity with some of their late round picks. I think you can't say, okay, the last guy invested resources into this guy. The last defensive coordinator liked him, especially because we have a new defensive coordinator than we had, whatever it was, 3.5 weeks ago, when Graham bolted. You can't say that just because we liked what we saw from these guys, they're going to be around next year. I loved Romeo Okwara. I wish we kept Romeo Okwara, but James Betcher didn't like Romeo Okwara. Obviously, the Giants didn't have a functional situation there, and they gave James Betcher a defense and said, "Here, win with this." And then they said, "Oh, 5 weeks later, we forgot to plan everything out. So here, like our nose tackle, who obviously we wanted to trade 2 months ago, but we didn't end up trading because, I don't know, we just got around to it. But we told him his job was going to be taken by drafting all these defensive tackles already. And, it was just a completely disjointed process. They started stripping the defense down and accelerated stripping the defense down into 2019, and then fucked Betcher over for it. They gave Graham the defense. They built around Graham for 2 years, and now they're giving Wink, hope as much of a clean slate, not really a clean slate, a slate that's being cleared as he's taking control of it. You can't marry him to guys like Coughlin, Roche, even guys like Smith, guys we want to see succeed, just because the last guy brought him here. So I think getting late round picks, getting a third round pick that Wink really likes is absolutely okay. And a third round pick, if the Giants have 2 of those, hopefully 2 of them. Hopefully they have more. They get more, but those are picks you can afford to miss on. And if Roche beats that guy out, that's even better, or not necessarily even better. That's healthy. That's healthy for the roster. But you can't write roster spots in stone because we like guys.
Well, I was mainly going, I guess, from the point that I was going to was without really fully knowing what the guys that we have, like Ellerson Smith, we don't know what he's capable of because he never saw the field. Yeah. I don't see the benefit of drafting a guy when we have a couple of young guys that we haven't been able to see. Now, if we want to bring in a veteran guy like a Chubb or something like that, I could see that because you want to bring in a veteran guy that has experience. But to draft at maybe not necessarily at a high round, if you want to go late round, 5th, 6th round, something like that, maybe a 4th round or something, I could see that. But to draft a high round, a 1st round, 2nd round, 3rd round pick on an edge rusher, when you have a guy like Ellerson Smith that you don't know what he's capable of doing, could be a top tier player, but just never touched the field, or a guy like Quincy Roche that could do something, or maybe even, God forbid, we keep holding out hope for this, but maybe Zoe Carter. I mean, when Zoe came back last year at the end of the year, he looked pretty good the last 3-4 games of the year, and he looked good at the beginning of last year as well before he got hurt. He looked really, really good. His problem is that he can't stay healthy. So I think it would be foolish to draft a top-tier guy when we have so many question marks at the outside, edge rushing position.
This I would switch what you're saying because
I would think it's backwards. Yeah, I think it's backwards.
If you're
if they wanted to trade Barkley for Chubb, I would be okay with that.
Okay, let me put it in perspective.
Here's the thing: if you're drafting a top tier guy, that guy is almost always guaranteed to be better than a 5th or 6th round pick that was Ellerson Smith. That was a project, which we need to remember. He was a project player that we took, and yes, he got injured. We have yet to see what he has to do yet. But that's why scouting exists. That's why the whole scouting department is there and whatnot.
But give you this. Yeah. Josh Allen, which is top tier edge rusher that came out 3 years ago or 2 years ago, hasn't really panned out for and he was a top 5 pick.
He was 7.
Hold up. Josh Allen is a good edge defender. What are you talking about?
He's not a top tier guy.
Here's
what I'll say. They're talking about.
Here's what I'll say. It's a little bit backwards what you're saying here, because you guys are saying you're okay with getting a 3rd round, 4th round guy when we already have 3rd round, 4th round guys starting.
No, I would be talking like late round. Late round is what I'm talking like. If you want to look at an edge rusher like
even
5, 6, 7.
Even so, you're waiting for those guys to develop that you just signed, but you're also waiting for waiting for the guys to develop that you have already. It's just all developmental. When you go in the 1st round for edge rusher, I know not always. You mentioned a couple of names. You can mention Bus as well, but most of the time, these edge rushers are better and they're an upgrade for you. So if you want to really help your edge rushing unit, go in the 1st round and stop drafting guys in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round that you hope that are going to work out, that are sleeper picks, because it's always good for every position to have sleeper guys, but it's never good to have a position just for sleeper guys. Okay, so Lorenzo's a sleeper. O'Shane was a sleeper. I just want to
respond to Josh Allen real quick.
Aziz,
because I was a Josh Allen fan and I still am. He has a shoulder injury. But let me give you the quick recap of his 3 years. Amazing rookie year, 10.5 sacks. Had a great start to his 2nd year, but then had a shoulder injury which knocked him out for half the year. Still is recovering from that in 2021, where he got 7.5 sacks. But once again, that shoulder injury is still affecting him. So I wouldn't say he's not
he played in 8 games though in 2020. He played in 8 games.
That's what I said. The shoulder injury knocked him out for half the year.
Yeah, but
let's look at his snaps. Let's look at his snaps and the snap percentage.
I think we're going off topic with the Josh Allen thing, but the point still stands. If you get a 3rd round, 4th round guy again, you're gonna wait for that guy to develop. When you're still waiting for the guys you have.
If you're taking a 3rd round pick, that's more. That's more like saying we're giving up on Ellerson.
You're refreshing the process when you just want to upgrade.
It's not necessarily. It's not necessarily saying you're giving up. It's saying you guys have to fight it. Fight it out. The previous guys' investments are not scholarships, as Carl Banks likes to say, and
exactly.
Ellerson's earned a spot on a 90-man roster. It'd be foolish to get rid of him before camp begins, but he's got to show that that Wink thinks he's one of the 4 or 5 guys.
That's why you get a 1st round guy. That's why you get a 1st round guy.
you want you want him to be a part of the situation, but you also want to give yourself, if so what are you going to do? You're gonna get invest like 1.5 million or something like that in a free agent at the bottom of the market, or more in a guy like more towards the top of the market. There's nothing wrong with getting, putting a 4th round pick in there, to compete with them, or you, that there, it could be they like Ellerson more than Roche, and whatever, but it's, obviously this is why continuity is so good. But the more aggressive the Giants are in getting in getting the transition in a cohesive direction, in what out of the way, the easier it's going to be to move nimbly going forward. And the Giants have always danced around the big painful offseason that really inevitably had to happen this year, because they just accelerated everything so aggressively. But yeah, you want to clear as much as you can so you can build and move forward going into next year. And I keep getting back to that. And at the edge position, what that means is you probably go into 2021 with Aziz, or 2022 with Aziz Ojolari. But besides that, it's anybody's guess. It could be a big investment. It could be a bunch of small investments. It could be a vet from Baltimore. It could be guys we've never heard of. It could be an undrafted guy who comes and makes a team and beats Ellerson out. Like everybody should be fair game. And
would you be more keen on bringing in a veteran guy or drafting a guy? When you look at who we've got, Roche, the young guys, wouldn't you say that bringing in a veteran guy to mold those guys would make more sense?
I think it will. But my only thing is that if we don't do that, and we get, like, even if we get a veteran guy, but they're like, I don't know, you can name some garbage, edge rusher that's been in the round league, in every team every year. But if you bring in a decent veteran guy, like what a Marcus Golden was, I would be just okay with not getting an edge rusher high or even at all.
I mean, you look at Justin Houston from Baltimore, Jerry Hughes from Buffalo.
That would be completely fine.
I don't know if it could be just rumors, but you would look at a guy, like Bradley Chubb. I mean, they could even probably get Jason Pierre-Paul. Jason Pierre-Paul could even come back on a cheap deal if you really want to.
I'm all for that. I think everybody on the panel be all for that. It's just the thing that I disagreed with was like the later round picks. You'd prefer that over the first round, but I'm all for a veteran guy, because I'll take veteran experience and presence over somebody that doesn't have it any day of the week.
Right. I'll take that.
I just didn't want to invest into a position where I feel, based upon what I've seen, like with Roche, with Aziz, like I look at those two guys, like, and I feel like given the right opportunity that they could be something. I didn't want to invest into another edge and possibly, shove those guys out and they go somewhere else. I mean, look at what we did with BJ Hill. Like, I mean, we never really utilized him the way that we should. And he was just playing in the Super Bowl. As a matter of fact, 2 ex-Giants were playing in the Super Bowl.
But look at this.
Yeah.
3, actually. Well, 2. I'm not going to count Eli Apple. Fuck him. I'm not counting
guys,
Apple.
I gotta say goodnight, but I appreciate you all having me on.
Appreciate you having
really
on.
Enjoyed chatting, and looking forward to a really interesting offseason.
Good night, Will.
Well, KB, unless you're about to ask, I wanted to shift it away from the edge rushers now, and
well, let me just end it. Yeah. Let me just end that part of this conversation here. I completely understand what you're saying, Rob, and I was a guy, like, when we got Lorenzo and when we got O'Shane, I was like, listen, I don't even want any more guys. I want these guys to develop. But, and you can say that now about Aziz, and you can say that now about Quincy. Maybe those guys, Quincy and Aziz, in my opinion, are better than Lorenzo and O'Shane. But
agreed.
If it doesn't work out, then you're sitting there and you have nothing again. You know what I'm saying? Because these guys are developmental sleepers, and putting 2 developmental sleepers and just hoping that they're going to work out, you got to have a backup plan. You got to have the veterans. So I like what you mentioned there. The veteran, at least bring in 1 veteran talent guy, so these guys can still develop and not be kicked out of the
I
rotation.
definitely think Jerry Hughes is somebody to keep your eye on though, because
Jerry Hughes is good. Jerry Hughes is good, but he's a 4-3 dude. So I would be.
I
No,
wouldn't
he
be surprised they
played.
still bring
He
him in.
played outside before they transferred to a 3-4.
Oh yeah, they were a
4-3.
3-4.
They
At
were
one
a
point.
3-4,
They were.
and he
Yeah,
played
yeah.
outside linebacker on the standing up position.
Right.
So he could do
Right.
both. He can do
Okay.
both.
Okay. Yeah. Then I'm definitely on board with that. Definitely on board.
So then, so the one thing I want to shift to was, well, not our Rob's there. I was gonna ask it to everybody, but the other two. Does Rob, who are your top 3 tackles in the class, and what do you think specifically about a guy in Charles Cross that has been getting a lot of flack on Giants Twitter, Giants everywhere. Charles Cross has kind of been getting flack. Well, not just Ash, but like a lot of people.
I just like making fun of Ash.
I mean, obviously the top three tackles are, obviously it's Cross, it's Iguanu, and then it's Neal. Those are the top guys. Neal being like really more of a transition guy. He could play 2 positions. He could play guard and tackle, but he's primarily, I think he's going into the draft as a tackle, and a team can convert him if he wanted. Neal would be my ideal one. I really hope that the Jags fuck it up and take Thibodeau, to be honest, because I don't see another team up until 5 taking Neal. So I think if
I could see the Jets possibly taking him, or any other tackles.
I don't think so. I don't know.
It's like possible he drops. It is very possible he drops.
Possible that he could drop because they have Noah, not Noah Fant. They have something Fant there.
George Fant.
George Fant. It's fucking I think that's Noah Fant's brother. And then you have Mekhi Becton. They have a solid, like, if you're gonna draft Neal, you're not drafting Neal to be a right tackle. He's a left tackle. So if that's what you're gonna, and you just took Vera Tucker, just the year before. So
guard, yeah.
I don't necessarily see them going after. I could see them going corner. I could see them going after a Gardner or a Stigley or something like that with their first pick. That's who I think I could see them going after if Jacksonville screws it up. But between all of it, I would probably say Iguano seems like the more best all-around tackle next to after Neal. He played in North Carolina, did really good there. Cross, I feel, is kind of I get mixed emotions because people said that about Tristan Wirfs, that he was a questionable tackle. Guy's pretty fucking good.
I know he's very good,
in Tampa. So,
what I'll say about Wirfs is what you said about Von Miller earlier. I think Wirfs, it's not to take away from him. Because I made a whole video about back when a lot of people were doubting Andrew Thomas. He landed in a great situation.
And quarterback. And the quarterback is smart
now.
I mean, he really had no other choice.
Yeah.
He really had no other choice. You had Ali Marpet. You had
it's like,
Ryan Jensen.
I'm not taking away from him, but that man was in like the best situation possible for a young tackle.
No, absolutely, definitely. I mean, I thought when they took him, I thought that they were going to move him over to left tackle, but they stuck with Donovan Smith at the left tackle spot, and Donovan Smith turned out to be a pretty decent player. When it was funny, he really wasn't that great.
They really clowned him, man. I have a lot of Tampa fans. I live in Florida, and
bro, they were clowning him. I don't know what it is, bro.
Him.
Tom Brady went there, and some of those fucking guys that suck, bro. They were like, man, we got to be real good, like Tom Brady's here.
Tom Brady just plays so smart. The offensive line really doesn't have to, do much because he doesn't hold on to the football very long. Tom Brady.
I think for me, like when I look at the tackles that are available, as far as like just from linemen in general, I mean, I would be more keen for most drafting an interior lineman than necessarily a tackle. Personally, because I think we really need to get that interior guy, whether it's Linderbaum or something like that. Like we need to go ahead and do that, and I think it's really going to dictate what we do within what we do in the draft based upon what we do in free agency. I think guys.
Who would you target in free agency for
guys that I would target in free agency? And I tweeted this out, and I was going to make a video about it. Guys that I would tackle is Ben Jones, center out of Tennessee. I think he's a veteran guy, came from a dominant running game with Henry, so he's familiar with that. I would bring him in, and I think that you can bring him in for cheap. Ryan Jensen is another guy, but I think
I wanted Ryan Jensen last year, man.
I think he would be too high priced because he came from the Bucs. He played with Tom Brady, Super Bowl champion, so it'd be too much. Brandon Sheriff is a guy that I really, really would like, but I think he's on the same level as Ryan Jensen is
definitely way too expensive.
Too expensive. But a guy like Laken Tomlinson from San Francisco is a guy that I think could be a good interior lineman. His pass blocking is not bad, but he's definitely a big run guy. And his run blocking strength is pretty good. So I could see him coming over playing left guard next to Andrew Thomas and really kind of being a veteran guy. That's a guy that I would go with. If I had to choose, I would like them to go with Laken Tomlinson and Ben Jones, two dominant running guys that were part of the top running games this year with Tennessee and San Francisco. I think they should go with those two players personally.
Would you target anybody for a right tackle, or what is your plan at right? Or what would you do at right tackle, basically, free agency, draft?
You could probably look into the draft. You could. It's kind of tough because you have obviously everybody shits on Matt Parrott because you couldn't even beat out Nate Solder, and everybody shits on him. And
I love Matt Parrott, man. I got love for him, man.
But you don't know. They invested a second-round draft pick into Matt Parrott, so
third.
Third. You're right. So I think they could try to maybe go with a lower end free agency signing or maybe a lower end round draft choice to maybe put some competition out there to see what Matt Parrott's able to do and go from there. I think drafting a tackle at a high price, I don't want to be set up in the same position that the Cowboys are in, where you have Tyron Smith and you have Lyle Collins, two top tier guys that you're going to have to pay. It seems pointless in my personal opinion. I would rather them go interior lineman for a draft because I feel like that would be much more versatile. And we haven't really drafted a top tier interior lineman since Chris Snee, and that was one of the best guys that we had. So I think drafting interior lineman would be good. Maybe going late round, fourth round pick. You could look at a tackle, or maybe in free agency you could try to get yourself a lower end guy.
I'm looking right now at the spotlight for tackle free agents.
Cam Robinson, he played left tackle. He was from Jacksonville. Maybe you can move him over and have him play the right tackle spot.
A lot of these names though, specifically the good guys, it's like, can we afford them?
Yeah,
that's the biggest question.
Tackle here. Like Orlando Brown, he's not going to be available. Kansas City will bring him back. Dwayne Brown, he's a left tackle guy. He's not going to play right tackle. He's probably going to retire, to be honest with you. Trent Brown, don't want him. Jason Peters is probably going to retire. Another guy you could look at is David Quinsbury from Tennessee. He played right tackle for them this year. He played okay.
Oh, yeah. Quinsbury's. Yeah.
I think Quinsbury and Cam Robinson, if you were going to go with a good tier guy, you could look at those guys.
The thing is that if we sign Cam Robinson, that might be our only signing of the entire, because he's young too, right? He's like 26.
Yeah.
So this would be where he's looking to get his big payday.
Who's a good option?
Situation, if we could somehow clear up to get him, I don't think we'd get a space for anybody else.
This would be his second contract, opposed from his rookie contract, because I think Jacksonville gave him an extension. So I think they gave him he
was drafted in 2017 though, wasn't he?
I thought he was drafted in 2015.
Who?
No, I'm looking at it right now. Round 2, 2017.
Who you? Yeah, but he was round 2.
Yeah, but he would have already.
He doesn't get a fifth year, so he would have already had.
So it would have been 17, 18, 19.
So this would
20.
be his second contract.
Yeah. Okay. But he's recognized. I don't know what I'm thinking at right now. I'm looking at his cap hit as of right now. It's 13 mil. So he's gonna be somewhere around there. Probably more because of the age. How do we get the money for him?
Who's a guy that can be a little bit of a cheaper option that Rob mentioned? Brendan Parker, tackle out of from the Raiders, a former third round pick, I believe. He was drafted the same year that Colton Miller was drafted. And he's not terrible. And he's probably going to be hitting the market because the Raiders are probably going to want to upgrade at that tackle spot soon. Brendan Parker's a guy to look at, man. If we want to bring in some veteran talent, he's still young, 26 years old. He's coming off his rookie contract. And yeah, he may be a decent option there.
What I'm looking at is that if because I think the Giants, if one of those like the top tier guys aren't there, like specifically for me, it's Neil or Ikwanu. If they're there, I would take them. I think they're surefire deals. If they're not, then I'm going somewhere else or I'm trading down. And the only other guy I would consider in the first round is Trevor Penning, who the Giants have their eye on as well, based off of the Senior Bowl.
I
and based
looked
off
at
of things
Penning.
that we're hearing out of them. I like Penning as well. I'm
I
not
like
sure. I'm
him.
just not sure about taking him yet. Which is at that point, I'm like, all right, I gotta go back to free agency and see
I
what our
like that we
options are.
agree with that. I like that we agree
They
with that.
could
'Cause a lot
also
of
bring
people
in a guy
are
like Morgan Moses would be another guy
well,
that they could bring in.
Morgan Moses is good, but how old is he? I think Morgan Moses
He's
is
31. He's 31.
Okay, not bad. Not bad.
Yeah,
not
sign
bad.
him to like a 2-3 year deal, but
Yeah.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Morgan Moses could be a guy. I'm looking another. I'm trying to look here. I got a different thing here. So Morgan Moses is a guy, 31 years old. That's a little bit older. That's could still probably play.
Can we get
position.
some corn-fed middle America dudes? I'm sorry, bro. The corn-fed offensive linemen are the best ones.
Jermaine Ifedi probably a good option.
Yeah,
Bobby
Jermaine
Massey.
Ifedi. Jermaine Ifedi. I mean, yeah, Cam Robinson's 26. I mean, oh man, I don't know, dude. I think it's.
Bobby Hart.
I'll be honest. I'll be on. Bobby Hart wouldn't be bad. I'll be honest. I'm
Bobby
looking at
Hart.
it now. Trent Brown could be a play that they could maybe look at.
Oh no, Trent Brown's gonna be expensive as hell. His
no,
two
he's
contracts.
He's 29 years old. He's 29, so he's a little bit on the older.
Was like,
but
he was
I
one
think
of the highest paid tackles when he got paid with Raiders.
I think because I think when you look at his production and shit like that, and him being 29 years old, I don't necessarily think that he's not going to get that kind of payday. I don't think. I think Cam Robinson honestly would probably get paid more than him.
Oh, I for sure, just because of
his age.
His age, yeah.
You might be able to get Trent Brown on a little bit of a cheaper deal potentially if you wanted to, but Trent Brown, if you're at that point, if you're going to sign him, then Matt Parrott's gone. You're not going to, unless you'll be a backup. But like, you're not going to sign a guy like Trent Brown and have him not start. I could see more like a guy like Morgan Moses kind of being like a plug and play, a guy that you could bring in on like what Hub said, on a 1 or 2 year deal, have him compete with Matt Parrott, and stuff like that, and see what hopefully he's able to beat him out.
Here's the thing. Like I said earlier, there's no connection or emotional kind of I guess responsibility for Matt Parrott when it comes to Joe Schoen. He's not really going to care about bringing in competition for Matt Parrott because he's a third round pick. Because at the end of the day, he didn't draft him. So, in my opinion, although I trust me, I was slamming the table for Matt Parrott. I love Matt Parrott even before we drafted him. When we drafted him, I was extremely excited, and I loved Matt Parrott last year. But at the same time, when it comes to Joe Schoen, if I'm looking at it from his perspective, I'm saying this guy is a third round pick. They gave him a shot. He wasn't able to beat Nate Solder. He wasn't able to start day one. He is a third round pick. He's a project, but I'm trying to upgrade right now. And if a guy like
here's the thing though, right?
Is on the board,
because aren't all these tackles that are in the draft right now, they all primarily played left tackle, correct?
Yeah, but if you look at a lot of these tackles that get drafted,
I mean, we just talked about Wirfs.
Wirfs was the left tackle. He got changed to right tackle. But when it comes to the NFL draft, usually most of the tackles taken, most of the offensive linemen in general taken in the first round are like tackles, and they go everywhere. They go right tackle, they go to guard.
This is what I'll say with to respond to KB. To respond to you, KP, with the emotional connection to Matt Parrott thing and how he hasn't really shown much. Even though I agree with you, I could say the same thing for Daniel Jones, bro. Like, let's keep it real. Daniel Jones showed me just as much as Matt Parrott has shown me, but they have given an investment to him at least outwardly. But he's the
quarterback is different, way different. Because if you tie yourself to a quarterback, it could be your job. Not if you draft a right tackle.
We don't know yet if they tie themselves to him. What I'm saying is we're getting the impression that they tie themselves to him.
Quarterback. If you tie yourself to a new quarterback, if you draft another quarterback, it's different if you draft another offensive lineman. It's not different when you draft a whole new quarterback in this draft, because then you're tying yourself.
I agree with what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, the principle applies, and we don't know if they're going to draft another quarterback. In fact, the last thing I said coming over from Robin Pest stream, Pest asked a question if I was general manager, what would I do? Rob said that he would Kenny Golladay contract, right?
KG.
He would get rid of KG's contract. Will said he would get rid of Bradbury's contract, which was what I wanted to say. So to mix it up, I was just like, I'm gonna draft Malik Willis with our second round pick and just move from there.
I said it. I'm not a big guy of getting a quarterback, man. I don't want a quarterback. But if a guy like Malik Willis is available in the second, it'll be hard for me not to do it. It'll be hard for me not to do it, man. I know it sucks because he won't get a 5th-year option because he'll be only a 4-year guy coming in the second round.
I still
but
think
at
the best
same time, I'm not tying myself to anybody because I love Daniel. Like, I love another guy like Matt Parrott. I love Matt Parrott. I love Daniel Jones. But if you're not gonna, if you don't work out, I'm gonna get your replacement. I'm a Giants guy before I'm a players guy. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I get where Hub's going with it. Like, if we're gonna hold Daniel Jones to that same kind of, and they're gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, then they need to give Matt Parrott the benefit of the doubt at the same time. And Joe Shane and company did not draft him, so I get that. Now I agree with KB as well, where a quarterback is a lot different types of a position than it comes to the right tackle spot, because a quarterback is probably the most important position in all of sports, and that's basketball, baseball, football. Everything is probably the most talked about position of all sports. But in retrospect, I think what they're going to try to do this year is, we would like them to make all of these moves and do all of these things. I think it's really going to be a test to what they're able to do and what they're able to maybe say, okay, well, they could come in and they could say, all right, Matt Parrott wasn't really able to go ahead and beat out Nate Solder. All right, why? Why was he not good enough to be at right tackle, but he was good enough to be left tackle when Andrew Thomas went down? What was the gap? What was the training? What were the issues? What's going on? What are the schemes? What are this? What are that? And really try to reevaluate. I'll be very honest. I think that Daves and his crew, and especially Joe Shane, are a lot better at reviewing talent and reviewing the roster and assessing what capabilities that they need to do and what they can do with the players than Joe Judge and all of these guys really were able to do.
I'll definitely say this. I think part of Matt Peart's lack of development and then Will Hernandez's direct dip in development was because I don't think we had a good offensive line coach the past couple of years.
And we haven't really discussed the fact is that the Giants could still potentially keep Will Hernandez. I mean, they have to really address. There's a lot that they need to address, but they also have to try to pick and choose their battles. Do you get rid of Will Hernandez? You just lost Nate Solder, obviously. He's gone. So you have a right tackle spot that you need to fulfill. Is it going to be fulfilled via draft? Is it going to be fulfilled via free agency? Or are you going to try to run it with what you have on the roster and you maybe sign with a lower end guy? Now you look at the offensive line, the interior guys, your center and your guards. You have a guy like Shane Lemieux, who's coming off of an injury and surgery. You have a guy in Nick Gates that's coming off of an injury and a surgery. So those two guys right there are question marks. You have guys like Skura and Brenison, that were traded for and that were brought in, that you have to go back and you have to look at the tape. Like, okay, this is what they did well. This is what they lacked in. Okay, but we could probably work with something like that. Now you got a guy like Billy Price that came in and was tripping over his feet. How did he do? Was he able to sustain himself?
Oh, man, that man, Billy Price, the man got bull rushed by air.
Bro, that's funny. And then you look at a guy like Will Hernandez and you say, okay, what can Will do? Would Will be better? They had him at right guard. Would he be better at left guard? And
I was about to say, consider that same thing for Matt Peart as well. Whenever he gets back from his ACL injury, people forget he went out with the ACL tear. They could move him inside.
They could move Matt Parrott to inside. I mean, I think and we're kicking ourselves in the ass. I know I am. I don't know why they did not move Eric Flowers to the inside.
When you look at just how good he's been on the inside,
dude,
my God, bro.
When you look at what he did when he went to, obviously Jacksonville tried to put him at tackle, didn't really work out. When he went to Miami, it was a fucking game changer. They put him at guard, and he's been one of the best interior linemen in the league the last 3 years.
But also, I'll say this:
Miami, and last year with
we didn't do it, Rob. We didn't do it, but let's not forget he didn't want to do it when he was here, because remember he had issues when he. Listen, bro, I'll never regret the way we handled the Eric Flowers situation, because he had a terrible, he was not in a right mindset.
He had a terrible attitude, and I think it was because he was young, he was struggling, and I think that he was probably really listening to the media and what fans were saying. Everybody, he sucks, he's this, he's that, and he just kind of got pissed off and he just kind of whatever. But I think he got to the point where he's like, man, I want to be here. What do I need to do? And he probably grew up a little bit. He was a little bit older, and stuff like that. So and God bless him, he made a change, and now he's one of the best interior linemen in the league. So you can necessarily probably do that with a Matt Parrott. I mean, Matt Parrott, the size that he has, he can play guard or tackle. I think he's like 6'3". He could probably put on.
He's way bigger. He's like 6'7" or something like that.
I thought he was 6'3". He's big.
Freaking huge.
No, he's huge. He's huge.
He could be an interior guy.
And because it's 11:05 and I got to dip really soon. So I want to ask one last question, and then KB, I won't even be here for the outro. I got to dip out like immediately, bro.
All right, man.
My bad on that. But I just want to ask Rob one last question. What would you do at 5-7? Just give it to me straight. Player or trade down or whatever it is.
I mean, at 5-7, I would definitely, if the cards fall right and Neal falls there, I'm taking Neal and I'm putting him in at the interior. That's what I would do. At 7, I'm probably looking to either trade down potentially, or I'm looking at a corner, in my opinion. Some guy that's going to fit Wink Martindale's system when you look at what he's had in Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphreys. Those are guys that are in your face, can play press up front, physical type football, and that's what he really needs, and that's what he utilizes because he blitzes a lot and he needs his corner to cover. So not saying that a guy like Aaron Robinson can't do that, but I don't think you want to throw a second-year guy that only really played 4 or 5 games, if that, last year. You don't want to immediately throw him into the starting role and throw him out there. Not saying he couldn't produce, but I don't want to physically do that. Darnay Holmes, I don't think is a starter. I think he's a good nickel guy that can come in and play the third cornerback spot and on the third best receiver. I don't think he's a number 2 guy. But I think you look at a corner spot. So I would go interior lineman and I would go corner if Neal is there. If Neal is not there, then I'm kind of leaning on what you said earlier. I think you have to go with Ekwonu. Maybe you take the tackle at that point. You take the best player available from your biggest need, which is offensive line, and you go ahead and you do that. And maybe you look into moving like a Matt Parrott into the interior line and stuff like that and try to fill that role. And then I'm looking at, with that next pick, I'm looking at, again, corner, or I would even arguably say you could potentially, if he's, if he probably won't be there, but if he is there and you want a quarterback, Kenny Pickett is a guy that you could look at the quarterback position.
Oh God, Kenny Pickett.
But listen, hey man, I want the fake slide, bro. I want the fake slide. No, I'm just kidding. But I would say corner, or maybe you look at some type of maybe like an edge rusher. I would say if they don't bring in a free agent, then I'm looking edge rusher. If they don't bring a veteran guy for a free agent, if they don't do that, then you need to look at like linebacker. I think they need to get better at the linebacker position, maybe even interior linebacker, to be honest.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, KB, I could be out, man. Shout out to everybody in here. Then you've had me. Next week on my channel, shout out to Rob. He stayed the entire time, and him like me have been going for like a couple hours now. He's been going a little bit longer because he actually got on at 8:30 with Pest, but he's been going for a while.
So yeah, I love talking Giants, man. I love talking Giants football.
All right, man.
Have a good one, guys.
All right, Kush. All right, man. We're gonna wrap it up now. Yeah, we went 8 minutes over, but it was a good conversation. It was a combine special, but we talked nothing about the combine, but it was okay. It was okay. It was a great conversation. I completely forgot about the combine, but. Yeah, Rob, appreciate you coming on, man. But
for sure, man. I appreciate you having me on, and it's an interesting time, and we'll see what happens, with the combine, and where we go. I'm hoping that free agency starts to pick up a little bit here. I think we'll probably see a big move from the Giants. I think probably in the next few days or next week at some point, because they're gonna have to start making some moves. They don't have much time. I mean, when the whole stuff happened, they didn't really have a lot of time. They had to try to get the ball rolling. So, we'll see what they're able to do and whatnot. So I trust their process, and we'll see what happens. But it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time when you have change and stuff like that. New coach, new GM. You get all excited, and then you want like all of these things to happen and stuff like that. You want like, oh man, this guy, and then this guy, and then so it's gonna be interesting and stuff like that. And we'll have to, I think, like what Will said, keeping an open mind, knowing that we may not get everything that we want right now, but what they're getting now, they feel that they need to address now, and they can always address the other things later down the road when we have a little bit more of a little bit of a better financial situation, So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man, I extremely excited about it. But thank you for coming on, man. All that being said, guys, thank you guys for popping in. We'll see you guys next week on Kush's channel, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode of the Young Guns podcast. And we're out, guys.